back. I'm your host, Nahaja Black. It is a beautiful Friday. It is the show after a press conference. These not very much looked, I guess it's a love-hate relationship when we're talking about these conferences. Honestly, we love it, we hate it. It is, I don't know, dare we say we're hoping that is informative. I think it's funny how we're looking for, I think we're all looking for something. We're looking for answers. And many times we walk away knowing full well that those answers to the questions that we have, you know, aren't being addressed. But this one, let's first start off with the first thing. I'm honestly, can I just be as frank as possible with this situation? These press conferences are very depressing, not on the stats that they provide, but on the little answers that we receive. That's why they're depressing. On the very little amounts of strategy that's given. I mean, can the Minister of Health and the competent authority continue to give us the same speeches over and over in perpetuity without any concern for themselves? Continually, I mean, you know, Dr. McMillan said in her speech, the media can continue to just say the little things, wash your hands and use hand sanitizer. I think, look, that's fine. We can do that. But do I need every time for that is a major part of the speech, our personal hygiene. It's understood that these are things that we need to do. Bahamians in mass have complied to these things. We don't want people close to us. We are standing on the lines, complying in the heat. We are following ridiculous rules, in my opinion, with regard to closures of stores for 2 days or most of the week. But for 3 days, we're open, increasing crowds. We're complying to these levels of dumbness, allowing us to travel to hotspots. When we come back, there is no testing, but then we are considered the fools, the morons for going to places that you deem safe for tourists to come here. Tourists from those locations were allowed to come. But every time we get these speeches that are condescending, berating, talking about the same things over and over. Okay, so let's say now, Nahaja, what are you wanting to hear? We've been through this. I mean, I've said this many times, and I'm exhausted from saying the same. At this point, we are looking for strategic plans to get us out of this doldrum. Now, I must be fair. The Minister of Health, Renwood Wells, has come in and he's pontificating just like the way the Prime Minister's done. So we ended up with two speeches of the same ilk with fluff, lone air. I mean, if you could airbag anything, it would be those speeches that Renwood Wells and the Prime Minister gives us. At least the Prime Minister, in his speeches, you just know it's a doomsday speech. But in Renwood Wells' speech, it's very, it's exciting of nothing. It's filled with a lot of, if you could have a sugar rush, that would be it. Lone energy, no benefit to the soul. Right? Thank God for Dr. McMillan, those who still don't give you much information. They continue to just tell you a bit more. Now, there were key things, big nugget things that came out of this. And I will get into what I think we should be hearing by now in these speeches. Honestly, I mean, I don't even know why this is still a debate on what we're hearing and what we're not hearing in these speeches. But there were some interesting things that were said. We were told by Dr. McMillan that we are beyond 72 hours of getting results back for tests, but that the hospital will be able to test and they will be able to execute about 1,000 samples per day. This is an indication that we weren't even close, and that she even intimated, even though saying that the hospital would be able to test, that we are hoping for the reagents, though. The challenge that may come out of that is needing the proper reagents for these tests. So are we able to test or not able to test? That's the question there. 72 hours delay or lag is, of course, affecting the process of, and I'm very happy for the young man. Shout out to the young reporter from, I think, The Blaze in Exuma. That young man asks wonderful questions, along with our very own Jasper Ward from The Guardian, and all of the Jared, all of our reporters out there, the young people are doing a wonderful job trying their best to get information for the Bahamian people that is not coming straightforward, not candid at all, like you're digging deep into deep crevices and caves to get simple answers, right? I digress on this point. So anyways, we're told that, 72 hours delay, and it was asked, do we believe that this delay in receiving back the results from tests affect the spread of this virus? And the answer given was, well, we don't just tell the people, after we've taken the test, to just go home, but we tell them to quarantine, which is fine. I'm curious of what the structure of quarantine is, and I think that's what I'm going to hope to have to get a guest on the show to tell me what is the structure of quarantine. Not just to tell people to quarantine, but if you're a single mother and you have a child, how does that quarantine process look for you? You still have to feed the child. So then, other than having it to go back, do we carry the child somewhere else? What is the recommendation if you don't have that support system? Is groceries brought to you? Is that a part of the Ministry of Health system? How long are we going to go through this continuous cycle of lockdowns? Question was asked by, I think, Tanya Smith Cartwright, another reporter. How often do we have to go through these lockdowns? Dr. Forbes came in and gave an answer that is very much a sensible answer. The answer that was sensible was, listen, because we are so far behind on these results, right? What we're seeing is just getting days later, the value of risk. So we're talking about 7 days. At one point, Dr. McMillan says 7 days, then those results are showing up in the tally. So then the results that we are seeing, and Dr. Forbes said with the lockdowns that, listen, the lockdown is happening now, but this is also an incubation period. So we don't know what our results will be outside of this. She said that, listen, the results of this will take time to see. But at the end of 14 days, are we going to be judged by the results that are 7 days in arrears, right? Are we going to be judged by those results to further extend the lockdown and not by what is current in the situation? You understand what I'm saying? Because if Dr. McMillan is saying, look, you're going to see the results, and it's a lag of about 7 days. At one point she said 14, she adjusted it. But let's go with 7 days as conservative. It's a lag of 7 days. At the end of a 14-day lockdown, because every day the numbers are, you see the numbers spiking, they go down. We've recorded highest day totals, and now you need to look at those numbers and say, those numbers aren't yesterday's results. Right? What I mean, not the yesterday's test taking results. These aren't current numbers. These are results that are 7 days in arrears. So when the prime minister says at minimum 14 days, right, is he basing that on the 7-day delay of tests? Because we should expect those numbers to be higher, right? We should expect those numbers to be higher coming along. But okay, so we're seeing charts that's showing them going down. But how am I supposed to view this chart if it's not today? How will we be judged if the results are not today's results? How are we moving forward? What is the strategy, right? Constantly, I mean, look, I gather it's important to say it every day. But I'm beginning to think, are we the simplest of people that at every speech you need to keep repeating, wash your hands? I mean, every day, wash your hands, sanitize. At this point, months in, what happens now? Because it seems as if the health, just let's be plain, it is the health officials who are leading this charge about what happens. They make recommendations and we follow suit. And I've had no problem with that until today when I heard some things that very much gave me pause, right? Dr. Brennan, in his statement of, if we don't find ourselves doing better, then we may have to deal with an extensive national lockdown. Right? And then the minister of health comes on behind him as if to chide us and say, well, for everyone who's on social media, really, when this administration was winning or trying to win an election, they owned social media. There was not a part of Facebook where I could not see the Free National Movement's torch There was no part of social media where the Free National Movement didn't put money and resources into getting a message out. Really? You mean to tell me that the machine of the government cannot overpower one or two stray voices on social media? That means that you've lost the people, that you have no intention or have no idea other than to win an election how to govern a country, how to speak to people rather than condescend. What is the solution? So now here we have this discussion that is going on, right? This discussion that I'm hearing my health officials have, that if we as a people are not able to curb this flow, though they haven't put themselves on the hook for not having the facilities, the hospital facilities. Before we started this pandemic, we were 25 beds available. That's all we had. That's all the former minister spoke about. We knew we had borders in the hospital long before. From June 2019, the former minister was speaking about borders. Did we address that issue then? We knew before COVID-19 that patients were being lined up against the walls in the hospitals. We knew if there was a mass casualty situation that the Princess Margaret Hospital could not accommodate our citizens. This is not new news. So now that we've never had capacity, there's no plan to fix capacity. There is no plan other than now we're talking about the hotels and we're putting borders in the hotels, right? Thank God Breezes is accommodating such. We've got a space for contact tracing in the hotel. We're going to use some beds for some folks. But if the hospital doesn't have the capacity, you're saying that until we're never going to seek capacity, but we're going to, until the hospital can gain some sort of modicum of control, we're going to continually shut down the country. Where's the solution on fixing the system, fixing capacity issues? To what extent are we looking at that as a real thing? Because you cannot look at a closing and a locking down of the island, of the nation, as a real thing. It is not a real solution. We cannot fix this country that way. I don't understand why this is. Look, if the Minister of Health cannot come to the table with a real answer, real answers and solutions and strategies, and when the Prime Minister speaks, he's not giving us any economic strategies or solutions. When are we ever going to open up? Are we going to cripple this? Look, people are, I mean, for those who know and feel this thing, and every day is a struggle, every day figuring out, trying to determine, how do I put food on the table? I need to find enough food to feed my 4 children. And I know you got some stink people, but anybody tell you to lay down and have these children, stay out of the people's business, because you are somebody's child. And if they didn't lay down to have you, you wouldn't have been here. So stay out of people's business, okay? Leave people alone and stop judging. But I digress on that point. Let me come back, wheel selector, and come again. This is where we have real people are struggling today, standing on lines, dignity smashed because they have to wait on this money from NIB that's theirs. But when you pick up a check for $14, there's a slap in your face. Or when you stand in this line, they tell you, I put your name there, but you know what? It wasn't your day. Or when you stand on that line and folks eye you and give you attitude. Look, there are a lot of Bahamians, the majority of us, who are strong, independent, who don't want a handout, but the economy has shattered us. Built on the concepts and precepts of tourism, which was always fickle, which was always the ruin to our country, never diversifying, the ruin to our country. And now we are being looked at and looked down upon for the uses of the systems that we enabled for so long. The Bahamian people have paid NIB, which is, quote unquote, invested our money to never give us a return on investment. NIB was supposed to have 15% investment. 15% was supposed to be what is invested by NIB to bring return for the Bahamian people. If done correctly, NIB should have been the structure for our sovereign wealth fund. But now we have these ideas, these constructs, this discussion about further locking us down. The Minister of Health is coming out talking about nothing. Nothing. It's a waste of time. Jesus, we might as well have had an inactive post. Nothing is said that is of any substance. Politicking. People are hurting. People are hungry. And look, I can't feed people. I don't have the resources to feed them, but we could collectively. But how long are we going to feed folk? To stroke our ego? How long are we going to spend $1 million a week? How long is NIB going to run through $20 million a month? How long are we going to do this to fight a virus that cannot be fought? Because as soon as we go outside, somebody will catch it. There's no vaccine. There's no cure. Unfortunately, a small percentage of our citizenry are finding themselves ill. And I wish not for anyone to be ill. I wish for no one to die from this thing. No life is expendable. So there's no call for a free range opening of this country. That's what the government did. When they enacted silly policies when we were good and businesses were starting to get back to themselves and we were ordering food and we were going to the store. No one, I don't know anyone. I'm not a believer in the herd immunity and in the mass casualty situation. I don't believe in that. What I'm asking for is not some carte blanche, wide open structure. Let us now say, all right, listen, we understand and we know that right now as it stands, we cannot live like this. We cannot afford another lockdown. This is why we can't afford another lockdown. X, Y, and Z dollars is spent every month when people aren't working. We have X, Y, and Z dollars that we have borrowed from X, Y, and Z space. This X, Y, and Z dollars has to be a part of fueling capital investment. We need to get small businesses back into the place where they are not just hiring their staff, but they're expanding. We need to expand them, but we need to help them shift from the brick and mortar to a digital space. Because now more than ever, to be in a digital space is the way to go. We need to empower. So, you can say to these shipping companies, listen, shipping companies like Amazon has this thing where they have outsourced their delivery system. The shipping companies are now doing deliveries. Instead of the shipping companies owning the delivery system, I would entreat them to say, listen, have persons with their vans that are already sitting down be the deliverers of packages. Delivering packages can't be any easier now with geolocation. Put it in the phone. Allow young people to now have their own offshoot of a company and deliver as many packages as they can deliver. Let us go ahead now and say, okay, brick and mortar stores, we are going to have classes through the SBDC, and we're going to help you transition from an analog space to a digital space. We're going to help you not just for your website, but apps. We're going to help teach you how to secure, how to get your products here at a certain speed and time. And then once you've completed the course, we are going to help you, facilitate you with the loan necessary to get this done. Now you're dealing with existing businesses that can expand themselves, that can grow. Now we're going to have to build in our IT infrastructure. All of the IT professionals in this country now should be of high demand because we now have to take ourselves from off of this analog space into a digital space. Making a platform robust for all schools. App development should be building and growing. We should at this point be looking at how do we facilitate construction in the country now, because we're still going to prepare for the tourists who are going to come in maybe a year. At the rate the United States go, and they need an election desperately, and they need a change in leadership, ASAP, to renew confidence. And so do we. So now we can't continue with these lockdowns, people. And I know that this is hurting you. And we realize that this is economically not feasible. We also realize that, well, no, they wouldn't say this, but they should, that the more that they give us very little answers and guidance, the more people will rebel against the constraints of the emperor. The more the people will rebel against what are nonsensical and mass. The majority of us at this point are not sick, which is good because hopefully we're all mitigating, but the majority of us are not sick. But all of us are suffering. There will be a revolt of that strategy. Did no one study politics in this government? Did no one study political theory? No one has good common sense. At some point, the politicians, the policy holders must rise up from out of the conch shell they live in and lead. We're coming in the tail end from Barbados with the ERC, the Economic Recovery Committee, saying that, hey, listen, we're going to do similar to what Barbados has done, and we will also include university students. I don't have a problem with that, you know. When you see a good idea, copy it. I don't have a problem with that, even if you can customize it. But it shows that that is the only trick we've come up with. But it still requires foreigners to feed us. Let me ask the question, why are we importing so many things that we can grow on our own? Why have we stopped imports on a lot of things? Why haven't we invested in manufacturing plants? You can imagine if you got $240 million from the World Bank, right? The IMF, where all of us are very concerned about what sort of structural adjustment plans have, come about in this time. If we're looking at this from that vantage point, right? If we're looking at it from that vantage point, how is it that we have yet to, looking at this system, looking at our borrowing, not said, well, I have to take $20 million out of this 200, 10%, 20 million out of this 200. We're going to look at other nations who have used manufacturing to spur the economic boom. What can we do to get our what are the resources, our foreign exchange, to keep our foreign exchange home? I know that onions in Andros, Bamsey, rot on the ground, but we still import onions. How does that make sense? How does that make, I always wondered, can we not can our own fish, but we buying tuna left, right, and center? What are we capable of doing that can shift us? How do we take generational property, create wealth, and put people in and say, listen, man, we've got to find a way to decentralize a lot of these islands so that this mass spreading of diseases doesn't catch on and shut whole industries down? How do we get to depopulate the islands? In particular, New Providence. Give people ownership and stakes in other islands. What is the 6-month strategy? We're waiting on plans and ideas. Are those plans and ideas strategic? Are they point by point? How do we get from A to Z? Or they're just ideas? My God, the National Development Plan was a book of ideas, not a book filled with strategy. And people are hurting, and we're talking about, oh, well, if the virus continues to spread, we're going to have to think about a longer lockdown. Are we serious? Are we serious? Are we serious? We can't be serious. I got a call on the line. Caller, you're on the hit back. Welcome. Hi, caller, you're on the air. Welcome. All right. I don't hear my caller, but I do have a few texts. All right. Mrs. Black, this lockdown makes no sense. It's hurting us in every way. The government needs to have a meeting. Hold on, let me make sure I'm not hearing, to make sure that I can hear anything. Says, Mrs. Black, this lockdown makes no sense. It's hurting us in every way. The government needs to have a meeting with store owners and make them get 2 security officers at their stores to keep people in order and 6 feet apart with masks, or shut the store down. Give the store owners an option. If Walmart can do it, so can we. Says that digitization plan was submitted to the SBDC from 2018 when they opened their doors. They had it in their hands. Our problem isn't lack of ideas. It's our I don't know you. I didn't see you at the cocktail party. Visionless profile and executive culture. You ain't lie there. Someone else says we need inspiration and solutions. Any word from the economic task force? They need to bring ideas to the public and have national addresses like public health and the CA. Okay, and they need to, yeah, they do. Someone says we need. Yep. Okay. So there you go. And mm, lone fluff from Minister Wells. The lockdowns only serve to exacerbate the situation, inciting pandemonium and chaos in public places. Our governments, our government doesn't have a clue, seemingly, and are breaking the spirits of Bahamian people. Heaven help us. Look, I am so. I mean, listen, I just don't even know what we're doing at this point. I really don't know what we're doing. I don't know how we're going to get it done. Um, I just I gee. I gee. You know when you used to say that when you're younger, especially my brothers them used to do when we used to play wrestling when I was younger, my brother would say I gee, you know? Um so God help us. This is because BAMSI supervisors have to make their cut. If not, they don't care if produce sells or not. They simply don't care. I just don't even get that. How is it that I've watched produce die on the ground at BAMSI? But we got the what are those folks called? They're Mormon, man. The Mennonites. The Mennonites selling strawberry. Man, the Mennonites got a farm. I didn't even know the Mennonites could sell produce and export. I didn't know it was legal for them based on their religion to do half of what they do. And Mennonites cutting wood in half and selling it to you because they got the wood cutter. Yeah. They selling them. I ain't gonna lie, that Mennonite strawberry was the bee's knees. I don't know what kind of stuff they putting in that soil. And I don't know, do Mennonites pray to Jesus? I don't even know. I need to check my information. Anyways, all I'm saying is at this point, that was a waste of time. A waste of freaking time. These, what do you call this? The press conferences, waste of time. I walked away knowing a bit more pieces of information. The bits and pieces of information that I walked away with did not paint the Ministry of Health in a good light. That's all I know. You mean to tell me now we're gonna look? Because don't forget, I gotta go back. Y'all don't understand. This is what threw me. Dr. McMillan said that the results got about us. She said 14, and then she catch herself, realized it's too long. 7-day delay in showing up in the numbers. 7 days. But the Prime Minister said that we have at minimum 2 weeks, and they are judging our results on the numbers that show up. So if we are 7 days behind the numbers that show up, what are we being punished for? The future? Because you can't tell me what the future is based on the results. You don't have the today's results today. You are 7 days behind on results. So how you gonna lock me down on a 7-day late report card? I just don't get it. I don't get it. So at the end of this, what are we getting locked down for? You got to come up with some other strategy than mass lockdown. Ministry of Health, I really was rooting for you. I like Dr. Forbes. I really like her. I think she's a smart woman, and she gave me some good, succinct answers. I like Dr. What's his face? Brennan. Yeah, but he went a little too far today when he sounded like he was a bit gaudy. He was like a little bit of spirit of God in him. Whereas if we don't get it right this lap, then we might have to go into a whole lockdown, a whole one, meaning like a solid, real, y'all can't go out lockdown. And then I thought Minister Wells was going to come back and be a politician and try to soften that blow. The brother going to say, after that move, the brother going to say, y'all, and for y'all people on social media who ain't who ain't telling people not to comply, you got to be kidding me. A whole government afraid of 2 people on social media. A whole government. Who these 2 people is? Jesus and Paul. Who are the 2 people? A whole government that used all of the internet when they was winning the election. Every crevice they was using. And you're all afraid of people on social. What? Joining me now is my good friend, C.A. Nuri. C.A., my boy, I'm trying to, now I need to breathe, and so therefore I will go to you. What say you? Did I miss something? I missed something. I missed something, C.A.
It's a clear need. There's a clear indication that you need to keep calm.
Yeah.
I see your emotions. I
Yeah.
see your emotions. Your emotions is showing on your face. It's
Hey.
showing within your voice. And I only thing I can say and recommend to you is to keep calm. It will get better tomorrow. You know,
Right.
joy come in the morning.
Amen. Amen, my brother. Amen.
So let's speak life.
I'm all over it. Whose
We
life?
are at last place at this present time. That means the only place we can go now is up.
Hallelujah.
You know, we may be on our backs at this present time, but once we set up, we are going to move forward.
Hey,
so I
Shankar.
believe good things comes soon.
It can only get better. It can only get better. My God. Well, I mean, Cecil, I said that about a month ago. I did say that.
Did.
I did.
You did.
And if I remember correctly, last week we were 183rd in worst.
Yes.
So we did get worse. Yeah. We went to the very bottom now, my boy. I mean, I'm a woman of faith, but sometimes you got to know when the soil is the right soil or ain't the right soil, my boy. You got to know when to switch grounds.
Yeah.
This may be fallow ground.
Perhaps we are rocky soil right now, and we need to put our seeds in someplace else.
It's got to be. This soil just ain't kicking it, my brother.
Yeah.
CA Nuri, listen. Okay, so I have to calm down. I really do, because we don't have beds, right? So I cannot run the risk of getting my blood pressure high and needing the help of the hospital. This is the trying time that we're in.
But before you go on, how many persons do we have in the hospital at this present time? Do you know?
Actually, I should know that number. It wasn't many. I think it's like 30 odd or something.
It's 32. I knew the answer. I just, you just asked the answer just to get it. Those.
Oh, right. 32.
And I'm saying that 32 persons overwhelm the entire hospital system.
It's 32 because we only had 25 straight. We only had 25 beds to start.
Yeah, but imagine if we had a serious accident.
Oh, forget that.
Imagine. See, picture Hurricane Dorian, where so many people were demised with the hurricane. Suppose, God forgive. Suppose they were sick people, persons who had cuts and bruises and had to be hospitalized. The 70-odd persons who died. That means that our hospital system would have been overwhelmed.
Oh, in a minute.
Yeah, that in a minute. Anything over 50, we that's it.
That's it. That way over
I'm
50.
concerned more about that narrative, Nahaja. I'm very much concerned.
There you go.
50 persons at one time can overwhelm our entire country's hospital system.
Listen, the entire country, we are done. When you realize that before COVID-19, we had patients lining up the walls on the cots, no rooms, on gurneys in A&E. Finding a place to put. Man, listen, I ain't telling y'all what I hear. I telling y'all what I know. When you got your own mother waiting for a space in a bed, okay? We got a caller on the line. Caller, you're on the Hit Back. Welcome. Hi, caller. Thanks for holding. All right. Listen, we're going to get the calls after the break. I apologize, y'all. One of the challenges with being remote is I'm not checking my phone as often as I should. So when we come back at 5 o'clock after the news break, please feel free to call and I'll go straight to the lines. But I want to get your thoughts on today as well. We got a bunch of texts. Someone says the digitization plan. Okay, we got that one. So the health team doesn't have a clue on what they're doing. So this has been one big cartoon country we live in, no plan at all. We need people with vision. Someone else texts, they can do it because we too slack as a people. Nahaja, they will now pat themselves on the back and say, that news conference went well. You're probably right. They feel pretty good about themselves, I'm sure, especially Wells. I feel like Redwood Wells is this is my time. This is my time. I'm the fix-it guy, right? It says, everyone comes here and rapes this country and we sit back and complain. Mrs. Black, they are just too arrogant. You know what? God help us. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. C.A. Nuri, my good friend, joining us today. We'll be back after this.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
listening to the Guardian News Network. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Taylor Ferguson. Here's what's making news. Thank you for tuning in. 30 new cases of COVID-19 reported today, bringing the total number of cases in the Bahamas to 1,119. Health Minister Renwood Wells announcing at a press conference this afternoon. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Pearl McMillan giving this breakdown.
The total new cases for this week is now 356, which is a 41% increase over the last week's total of 253 new cases.
Health officials also reporting 2 additional deaths, bringing the total number of deaths to 17.
Our deaths under investigation are currently 8. New Providence 4 and Grand Bahama 4.
McMillan gave these reasons why we're still seeing a spike in cases, even though we're in lockdown.
Persons exposed prior to the lockdown may be among those presenting to the health facility with symptoms currently. Also, we have the backlog that we mentioned that is happening in our lab capacity output currently. This is also the delayed reporting of samples of persons who would have had samples taken prior to the lockdown will now be reflected in our numbers. And also, with our enhanced contact tracing, we are picking up asymptomatic, pre-symptomatic, and symptomatic persons who would have not necessarily presented to the health facility.
Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar slamming rumors that Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis will place the country on a complete 2-week lockdown, forcing essential businesses to shut down as well. He's calling it social media rubbish.
And I'm here to say that is total and complete and utter fake news. The government of the Bahamas is not shutting down the country for 2 weeks. People have to eat. People have to go to pharmacies. People have to move around. There's enough of a restriction in place now that are upsetting people. So we certainly don't want to put in place something that would make absolutely no sense at all. So fake news, rubbish, throw it in the garbage.
Deputy Chief Medical Officer Dr. DeLon Brennan did tell the Nassau Guardian this morning that as COVID-19 cases continue to soar, a tougher lockdown is needed with more restrictions on travel. A new information company surveying more than 2,000 Bahamians on the government's handling of the coronavirus pandemic and the aftermath of Hurricane Dorian. Intel Key co-owner Kieran Chase says the online survey found that 60% of people felt the handling of the coronavirus pandemic was okay. 46% said they were satisfied with the handling of Hurricane Dorian. The Voice of the People 2022 survey also found that 1 in every 3 people were unemployed, and 60% of that number was due to the coronavirus pandemic. That's what's making news. I'm Taylor Ferguson. AP News is coming up next.
Coronavirus update. I'm Ed Donahue with an AP News Minute. Stocks finished the day mixed. The Dow Jones Industrial Average did finish up 34 points. President Trump says he wants to do more to help Americans hurt by the pandemic, but he says Congress is getting in the way.
Ready to send. Democrats are holding up. I'm ready to send rental assistance payments to hardworking Americans that have been hurt by the China virus. All of these things are on a list. Democrats are holding this up.
Arizona health officials report 928 coronavirus cases and 40 more deaths. Coronavirus-related hospitalizations in Arizona peaked about a month ago. Officials say the Canada-U.S. border is going to remain closed for another month. Florida High School Athletic Board voted today to begin practices for football and other fall sports August 24th and games less than 2 weeks later, pushing aside the advice of medical experts who said competition in Florida should not resume for at least 6 weeks. I'm Ed Donahue.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM.
Girl, Junior just showed me Bella Boy in his phone.
What you mean? He take picture of that good-for-nothing boy?
Shh, you don't want Bella here. You say that. You know she always say that's my good child.
So what he doing in Junior phone?
Oh, he there because the police looking for him. He on their wanted list.
Wanted persons in your phone now?
Yes, child. And when police want to find anybody quick, after something happen, they can send pictures direct to your phone. Go to Google Play or App Store and search for Crack Crime Bahamas. Then pick install and it will go straight to your phone.
There is also a section on missing persons?
Yes, girl. Everybody needs to get this app so police can tell us right away when these people go missing. Just like an alert system.
Yes, it has numbers for Crime Stoppers Bahamas, so you can call and nobody knows it's you. Call directly to Miami and give the information without giving your name or anything about you. I tried it the other day, and when I hear Junior and his boys talking about where they hide those guns, I walk quick round the corner and call that number.
Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands.
It's the beginning of the hurricane season, and Fidelity Bank is giving you one less thing to worry about. We're not able to control a storm or its path, but we can prepare for it as much as possible. With every debt consolidation loan, Fidelity is giving away fully loaded hurricane kits valued at $200 with all the hurricane essentials you'll need to weather the unexpected storms of life. It's that easy. Sign up for a debt consolidation loan, open an ASUS savings or fixed deposit, and walk away with a free hurricane kit. At Fidelity, we're committed to helping you through these difficult times. Fidelity, we're good for you.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. My good friend C.A. Nuri is joining me here. So my producer says, you know, there's a little mistake there in playing the wrong music, but that's the jam. I ain't gonna lie, that's the jam, right? C.A., unmute yourself, my boy. Unmute yourself. Happy Friday, everyone. What? I can't hear you, C.A. You still not. You're talking to yourself. What do you say,
The
CA?
cone gentleman was passing, so I was waiting till he passed and sell his wares to the people.
Oh, the snow cone. But at least somebody worked. Somebody working.
Apparently, he's not locked down.
He's essential. He's essential.
And the entire neighborhood is surrounding his truck at this present time.
Oh Lord, the man can get locked down right now. The man going to jail. Oh jeez.
I want to say that I'm happy to see the coconut man is still on the highway, selling his water.
See, well, you gonna cost all kind of people gonna go to jail because of you, Cecil.
I'm just saying that I was happy to see him today.
Mind you,
I blow my horn.
Did you blow your horn? Hey, is it a crime if we purchase wares from the coconut man?
One would assume so.
Right, because he's not supposed to be out there, right? So I would be aiding and abetting a criminal offense. My word.
There you go.
I ain't going to jail for nobody.
He does have the best coconut water in Nassau.
He does? I could really use some coconut water now. I won't lie to you. All right, my good friend C.A. Nuri, post COVID-19 press conference, and I saw here the ice cream man still, right? Like, did your daughter go get some ice cream?
No. Be social distancing.
Okay, she ain't illegal. All right, well, that's good to know. Yeah. All right. But someone said a coconut man online now. I can believe that though. I think it's time for all of us to get online. All right. So here's the questions that I walked away with, Cecil. And did you get a chance to listen to most of it?
Yes.
Okay. Because I walked away with some of the concerns you had with regard to the hospital capacity. And
yes.
That in my head, I'm thinking, so we are not going to fix capacity. We're just going to make sure that we don't have enough sick people to overrun the hospital, which was never able to handle more than 25 new people, which always had 80 boarders before this that we are now putting up somewhere else. There's so many questions, but since we're not apparently doing much to fix capacity, we're not creating new, well, we did, just to be fair, we did have Doctors Hospital. We still do Doctors Hospital out west. We are now going to use South Beach Clinic. They haven't told us how much in terms of how quickly these things will happen or how we will be working the facilities. So I know that they're thinking about it, but this press conference today didn't seem to give me that sort of, we are going to get capacity to X amount of numbers by X date, that should be able to have us move to some level of normalcy with handling and with response time. I walked away with, we're 7 days behind on test results. The results that you're seeing today are 7 days ago, from 7 days ago. So the things that we're hearing about now, I'm wondering, are we putting those in the number? So if you know that we have test cases, are those going in the number? Because how did you get the results from those? When did you get the results from those? If you're saying that you got the results, that we're 7 days behind on results, how do you know, are those geriatric results, were they fast-tracked? Or did that happen days ago? And because the press told us, we're just finding out about it because it got leaked. Like, I have so many questions, man. I have so many questions.
But the conclusion of this is clearly the Ministry of Health needs help, right? And the answer to this now is, how do we help them? You have questions but needs answers, right? So perhaps we need to, before each press conference, we need to send out questions that we plan to ask the Ministry of Health, right? That they are able to ascertain answers and able to facilitate and have pertinent answers for us upon these things. You want to know what they're doing to have new beds? Give them the question that we plan to ask at the next press conference, so they'll go and look for beds. So when you ask that question, you have an answer. You want to know how lockdown facilitates the non-spreading of this COVID-19. You tell beforehand that you plan to ask them that question, so they can create an answer that we will be amicable to. So this is where the problem is. Perhaps we're not assisting them as much as we should.
You know what? Tell me how. If they could tell me how I need to, other than for me to keep telling. No, Cecil, they need to tell me how they need me to do this. Because they told me today I need to make sure to tell my audience, wash their dusty hands. Okay, because we nasty. We nasty. We need to learn to wash our hands and travel with our own hand sanitizer, because apparently, based by the CDC and the FDA, I can't trust these shop sanitizer anyway. We got a call on the line. Call, you on the hit back. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Ms. Black.
How you doing?
I was complaining of you might go for almost here another day.
Hey, you're going in and out. You're going in and out.
Ms. Yuri?
Yes, okay. I can barely hear you.
What?
I can barely hear you, my friend. Try again. Okay, we got to get the caller. Caller, try and call again. You can feel free if you want to join the conversation today. Tell me about your thoughts on this, on the press conference. 323-6232, 325-4316, or 325-4259. We have another caller on the line. Caller, you're on the hit back. Welcome.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Great.
Okay. First of all, the lockdowns need to stop. Some of the young people are not going to be 6 feet apart. Some of them are not going to put on masks. The lockdowns are going to cause small business to lose, as well as big business to lose. When the lockdowns happen, the staff of the business places will be at home without pay. People have to pay their rent. People have to pay their mortgage. People have to buy their food. Thanks, Ms. Black. You all have a blessed and safe evening.
Thank you, my brother.
Right.
Well, look, I need for folks to wear their masks. I need folks to social distance. I need us to do everything possible, but I need for the economy to open up. So my thing is, we can do all of those things. The government did look, when the government gave, Cecil, their mitigation protocols for how restaurants should work, inside and outside, they gave them. I believe then they gave guidelines. When they gave guidelines for how we should be on the beach, I respected that. When they gave guidelines on how we should worship in church, I went to a church that had their chairs not 6 feet apart, 3 feet apart, because, you can still need membership to pay dues. But, we were working with them, you're trying. That was us coming up with solutions to exist with something that has no cure. There is no cure for this. So we're going to keep hiding from it every time. So what happens after we flatten the curve again? God, hopefully we do. and there is a third wave. So what do? We run again? We build an igloo and hide again?
Nahaja, there's a clear breakdown, and it's easy to bash the government because there are some nuances that we are not addressing. This is one of my concerns now. A number of government entities have closed their buildings in order to be clean because they had a COVID-19 exposure. One person, two persons in office caught COVID-19. Subsequently, they closed down the entire office. They quarantined a number of persons within the office, and then they sanitize the office, entire office, for however long it is. That cannot continue to happen. One would assume that after every work day, after every work period, there's a general cleaning.
Yes.
Whatever type of cleaning they have. And this general cleaning needs to be sufficient enough that operation for these government entities are able to continue, right?
Mm-hmm.
You work on floors. If you weren't exposed to this particular person, we said we'll watch you. You have social distancing. You have the mask wearing. This is sufficient. The idea that this is not sufficient and that government entities have to close their operations down altogether, the entire staff have to be sent home for no matter for how amount of days,
for God's sake.
There's a breakdown. The idea that Ministry of Health of all places, Lord have mercy, the Ministry of Health of all places had to be closed down.
Had to be closed down.
The ones who instruct us.
This is not, it's not sustainable, CA. It's not sustainable in this. Okay, how expensive? So let's ask a simple question. Before COVID-19, how many times has there been, and God, I can't believe they have me now here asking these questions in real time, right? But before this, because COVID-19 is different, and because it was so new, it is a novel coronavirus, COVID-19. It is new. It needed, especially at the beginning, to be taken to be viewed at around all of its edges. We had to determine how dangerous is it to watch children. We are still learning about this virus, hence why there is so much concern, especially at the beginning, about how dangerous this virus is. As you watch the media, I mean, the levels of fear, I mean, all of this to get Trump out of office is a serious thing, but it's a serious virus. Anyways, I look at it, we've had, how long can the flu last on a if I sneeze in a room, can people get sick? Yeah, right? If people are going to get sick, do we normally run the whole business, everybody out of the building? And when someone sneezes, at some point, we got to be like, okay. Hold on. Everybody calm down. Calm down. Everybody calm down. Calm down. I know that this virus has the whole world freaking the halo out.
Mm-hmm.
But calm down. Let's look at our numbers. You know what got me today, Cecil? When Dr. McMillan was asked about, you mentioned this again, this young fellow from Exuma, brilliant young reporter, asked this pertinent question to Dr. McMillan. Dr. McMillan, you said that 15% of the persons who get COVID-19 have to be hospitalized. Can you give us the demographics, the data on what these people look like? Do they have comorbidities? Are they hypertensive? Can you tell us the age? Can you tell us the gender? This is stuff that Dr. Dalry just gave us in the first go.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Once upon a time, we were doing this.
Once upon a time, this data is pertinent, though, because it helps us to understand. This information actually is important because it even helps us figure out how to manage this in our society, right? If I know, Cecil, that, hey, listen, for sure, based on the data that we're seeing, of the 15% that go to that end up in the hospital, that we are seeing that of this 15%, 80% are females over the age of and are hypertensive, or if you could understand that data, Cecil, then we can talk to people who find themselves in the high risk category and say, listen, because you are in the high risk category, we would strongly advise you not to go out until there is a vaccine. Everyone else, we are finding in that data of the 15%, 10% is this age group because of these comorbidities, because of this, because of that, you run the risk of. But the rest of the country, how much are asymptomatic? Cecil, how many of us are asymptomatic? then it actually shows us we might be the people who have an ability to absorb this virus and not get sick. So we could be the walking cures for the country, for the rest of the world, but we don't have the data. Sorry, you could tell
You remember,
I'm getting.
Nahaja, remember once upon a time when they told us that people out east had COVID-19?
Man, they said give us location.
Just don't go out east.
Don't go that way. Fox Hill was rank.
Yes, So I stopped going by Lizzie. I said, I girl, old Lizzie,
Man,
no more.
I bring my mommy here from other Lizzie. I bring my mommy here.
There you go. I don't know where it is no more.
No, it everywhere now.
Is it Lizzie still, out east still, or is it out west? Is it out East Street? There's no new information coming out to say, well, this particular area has a core number of people coming down.
Wash your stinking hands. Wash your stinking hands, Cecil.
I want to just mention, I had to stop to a Chinese food store, right? And the security there sprayed my hand with Dettol, right?
Oh, that's powerful. That's expensive.
What is this white thing inside this spray? Right?
That ain't Dettol. Dettol ain't white.
No, it was Dettol. It still smells like Dettol. My hand stinking Dettol.
Okay.
Right. Like from your research, does Dettol kill COVID-19? Because I don't know.
It's antiseptic. No? That's all I know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Spraying Dettol.
Man, listen.
Listen, I just want to know.
I saw an article. Let me check see if we got any callers here. I saw an article in the papers on when you're reading through my news app and whatnot, and someone said, and we do have a caller. The article says that the FDA and the CDC are telling folks be wary of sanitizers that are being sprayed in your hands because some of them are not permitted. Some of them cause more harm than good. Some have methanol, some have propanol, all kind of funky things. And so can be serious when ingested. I'm like, for God's sake, what are in these bottles they spraying in their hands for true? We got a call on the line. Caller, you're on the hit back. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Nahaja.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. I think at some point we just need to just bite the bullet and flatten this curve. I don't know how you and your guest, what's his name now?
Cecil Nuri, yes.
Nuri feel about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Brennan spoke, and I listened
Mm-hmm.
carefully to what he was saying, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, what he's trying to say is that even despite the lockdown, person is still not adhering to the law, and they're still finding ways to get out there and, accommodate the majority of us. So I feel like we need to just bite this bullet and just go through, if it's not 2 weeks, maybe a week lockdown. And when I say lockdown, I mean everything, even including the police station. Have one man in there to answer the phone and everybody else on the road. As and just keep probably the clinics, the hospitals, not the clinics, open. And that's it. The food store, the pharmacy, because if you're sick, you go into the hospital, they ought to have medication. Just completely lock it all down. Say I wouldn't say 2 weeks, but Jesus, I'd say 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
And just, when a snake in the hole, what you do? You throw a kerosene and it comes out, right? But just put us through that for 1 solid week.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
But look here, who's hiding more? Aren't we hiding? Because locking you down, and then when you come back up, out. Man, look here, I've been to Chelsea's water today, and you said was John Canoe in August. I never seen more people in my life. The food store the same, so this is doing more damage right now to us than what good. So I say just get it over with, man. Lock everything down.
Everything down. Just shut us all down.
Shut us completely down and try to, because Jesus, Lord, come on. Because just how long can this go on for? And what uses, what I listen to Dr. whatever her name, Dr. Forbes, or what's her name, Dr.
There was two. There's Dr. Forbes and Dr. McMillan.
Dr. McMillan. And she's saying because of all these cases, he's a person from previous cases, but I don't too go for that. These cases are sky high. And you know, this lockdown is bringing more harm than good. Like I say, lock us down 1 week, 2 weeks.
But I thought that's what they do in here. I feel like I'm pretty locked down myself. I feel pretty locked down, you know. I feel pretty locked down.
Completely locked down. Everything, the station, everything, even the police station. I have one little man answering the phone and put all the police on every street corner.
Thank you, my sister.
That's how I feel.
I appreciate the call. I appreciate the call. Cecil, that's, you know, that's my good sister. Great, you know, guest of the show. I mean, follower of the show. I can't agree with her today. You can't lock me down extra. Not until you could prove to me where this thing is, how you're managing it. Even if you have, this is what my argument is. The reason why I will not fight this locking. You can't fight. I don't fight the government because I don't believe in it. We were supposed to work together. This is an all hands on deck challenge. So it's not me fighting the government. This is me fighting for it to make sense. Fighting for me to see a linear progression or even if it's not linear, some form of progression that says that we know what we're doing and we have a plan to live with this through this process until we get a vaccine, until we can get people to buy into the need to take the vaccine. But this use of look, we just got to use the powers that be and shut it all down because y'all ain't behaving construct. Persuasive tactics were used, Cecil, to win an election. Maybe you didn't need much because the PLP was just that bad. I can go with that. I can believe that. The PLP were just so bad that you didn't need to be good. I mean, Dr. Minister didn't even need to speak to the press. And I feel like Brave Davis is trying to do that same foolishness, but he got a rude awakening this lap. Because, buddy, if you ain't talking, I talking for you. All right? But I digress. Because you ain't going to get me again. You ain't going to goosey me again. For God's sake. See, I stutter? Minutes got me stuttering. Anyway, let's take this call. Caller, you're on the hit back. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Block, to you and your guests. How are you?
Good afternoon. We're good.
Wonderful. Today, the press conference, I think that was just pure garbage. And the reason being why I think it was just garbage, locking down is not going to prevent the COVID-19 from spreading, and also having these curfew is not going to stop it from spreading. If you claim washing your hand, keeping your social distancing, and if that's not working, let's try use some of those drugs like President Trump said, and you could see some,
HCQ, hydroxychloroquine.
Yes, it's happened because a friend of ours, you know, we told him about it. He had the COVID-19. He went ahead. He took it along with some Sorcy, some fever grass named Moringa, and he boiled it for like 2-3 days. He went to the hospital. You know, they took the test, sent him home. He took those medication that we told him about, which is the medication from God that God lent to us.
Right.
Along with that, he took some tonic water. And when he went back and he got the results, he was positive. After that, he told them to give him the hydroxychloroquine along. I think they gave him some antibiotics. And when they did that, what happened is they told him he had to sign because if something happened to him, then they're going to be held responsible.
So a waiver.
Exactly, which is pure nonsense. COVID-19 is something that we have to live with. So let people go. You're ruining the economy. I've been evicted. I know what it feels like to be evicted.
Oh, wow.
I'm in my own home now, thank God for my husband, you know, and God has been
Thank God.
evicted. But you have people out there who are suffering tremendously.
Yes.
This is not making any sense. I haven't been to work from March. NIB, I haven't seen a paycheck. I don't know what it's like. You know, thank God I'm still in my right frame of mind, but this is not making any sense. Open up the damn country. Excuse my expression.
Man, listen, I know where you're at. A lot of people are there with you, and they ain't saying damn. I'll tell you that.
You're not Dr. Macmillan. She needs to go back to school. I'm sorry.
Oh, geez, hold on now. Why you calling Dr. Mac?
I
like Doc.
She can't even speak.
Man, Doc is good. Doc McMillan is good.
It's not making any sense until you could get your clinic up and running, because with the doctor, you deal with one patient at a time. The country's not one patient. Or hundreds of thousands of people, and that's my 2 cents. You can answer me when I hang up.
Thank you, darling. See, I told people to feel this thing, you know. This is not a small thing, CA.
Clearly, there's a number of persons who are frustrated. And I'm concerned
understatement.
that this
I like your
frustration will boil up and it spill out into the environment and society in general. And I think that the competent authority must take this in consideration. One thing I'm still concerned is, I know that the University of the Bahamas, through their social science department, put forward ways on how the country can move forward in terms of what the government can embrace in terms of dealing with COVID-19. Yeah, man, there's a whole write-up and detail of steps in terms of where the Bahamas is now, how to open up the Bahamas. University of Bahamas did all of that. I'm not sure what type of publicity it got, right? Clearly, that should be maybe the topics we should be talking about, and how the University of the Bahamas contributed in terms of ideas and methods of what we should do as a country.
That's a great idea.
Clearly, I want to make this point. At these press conferences for Ministry of Health, there's a clear need to have social scientists there to curtail, and say, hey, what you're saying, I understand, but you got to understand the social aspect of it, that you are hurting people. I mentioned the last time you invited me on the show that my glasses was broken. So I'm now on a temporary glasses, right? It's been 2 weeks now since any type of eye doctor has been open, right? It's been 2 weeks now due to the hurricane. I had a brownout. A number of my appliances was destroyed for whatever reason. I'm still waiting for this 2 weeks to pass in order to buy certain things. They close AID.
Yeah.
I can't even WhatsApp them now and say, do you have this, right?
Man,
I'm waiting to
listen.
see if John S. George opens up again. So I'm feeling pinch. I'm feeling the frustration, right? I'm trying to make it through by supporting the government. But I'm wondering if my government is considering the pain that they are inflicting on me. And if my pain matters, or they have to wait till I start making noise, till I start crying out, till I start yelping. And they say, okay, now I see that CA there, he's having some pain. That's why he's making noise. And it shouldn't be the case. I shouldn't have to be making noise. Shouldn't encourage insurrection. Shouldn't
CA,
encourage
you don't know what's good for you. You don't know what's in your best interest. And plus, Black people don't wash your hand. You don't know how to be home on time, even though this is why I get tired of that silly rhetoric that they keep spewing about, Bahamians just don't know how to behave. How many of us live in New Providence, Cecil? Just in New Providence alone. If we didn't know how to behave, how many police officers do we have? You think you got more than enough citizens and police officers, Cecil? Huh? If we didn't know how to behave, I assure you the police officers would have politely put on civilian clothes because they didn't want to be seen as police when we decide to take over this country. The rhetoric, the dumbness, Bahamians don't know how to behave. On every family island, we outnumber police officers. We are law-abiding citizens. This garbage of us being undisciplined. If there was a party anywhere where you see people out and breaking curfew, whose job is it to deal with that? Deal with it. But the whole country don't need to lock down for 20 or 30 people who decide to break the rules. So this heavy-handedness is the work of, I'm sorry, it comes across as tyranny. And the people will revolt against tyranny. You must make it make sense. When it does not make sense, I will not comply. I will not give you my yes. I will not let you handcuff me and lead me on a ship and carry me across the channel to some new land because you say I should comply and trust you. That time then gone. The first wave, we complied. The second time, I didn't even mind Easter Sunday not going to church. When the rest of the church people was vexed at it, as my good friend Cecil would say. Yeah, when you had Maddie Knowledge talking about 7 good days,
7 good days.
We call out Maddie for her 7 good day speech, but I feel like Maddie was talking in them God numbers. 1 day is 1,000 days or something, them kind of God numbers. Because boy, that Minutes should have listened. I feel like Maddie was on to something now. I feel like she was on to something. Things gone real downhill. I must see 1 day is a week, maybe 7 good weeks. Maybe that's what Maddie was talking about in the spirit. I'm just saying. Look at the numbers, Cecil.
Look at the numbers now.
Oh, we got some text. So let's get to some of these text messages, right? Someone says, Ms. Black, the government cannot continue to lock us down while allowing our economy to speed toward life support. What needs to happen is to go into every community and test 20% of the residents. This will identify the hot spots and you can shut down those areas. What do you think?
That's reasonable. Yep.
Mrs. Black, you should see the food they are talking about. Salty corned beef. Y'all just corned beef.
Don't be dissing corned beef.
Don't be
That's a
dissing
staple.
corned beef. Throw some extra
There's no
onion in
fat
it.
on corned beef.
None.
There's no
And
fat. That's a
you know,
bread basket.
that's a bread basket item. It still costs $2-3 though, but nonetheless, that right. Okay. White rice, sugar, macaroni, tuna, nothing healthy. Child, y'all wasn't getting. We couldn't afford healthy foods before. You remember when Dwayne Sands said he was gonna put healthy foods on the bread basket items? You remember that?
I remember the promise.
Yeah, when he said, well, they gave us corned beef back. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And at all for the people that cannot eat those things, one disgrace, not complaining, but they need to do better. Someone says, I pray to God, Dr. Minister removes the emergency order. Let us be responsible for ourselves. Yes, I do agree. We can be a disciplined enough people, but if more people die, it will be one's unfortunate fate and not that there was something was not put in place to mitigate the spread and save lives. Open it up wide, I say. I don't know about that wide part, but you know,
no,
we can mitigate. You just don't come again with this 2-week or this lockdown foolishness again. Someone says y'all two need
at
to
least
stop
not without an explanation.
Without a strategy. I don't even need it. Don't explain to me. Yeah, don't explain to me. You know what I'm saying? Oh, well, you know, the numbers gone up. Again, let's go back to the fact that we are 7 days behind. Okay, based on Dr. McMillan's statement, we are 7 days behind what is shown in that graph. So how you could really tell me what you're gonna do for me to do to me today based on 7 days ago? You know what I mean? Unless she ain't saying something was right. Nahaja, you're doing an excellent job as a talk show host. This afternoon, I heard no real substance coming from the health conference. Basically, it was the same old, same old. Thank you so much, Texter. Says, how many countries are reporting cases and deaths around the world? And their businesses are able to operate and life goes on. Even Dr. Fauci said that a percentage of the populace will be affected. So why are we overreacting to the virus? Says, someone else says, we need to get people to follow the simple rules, 6 feet, wash your hands. Yeah, the people are not. I'm watching them every day doing whatever they feel. Nurses and medical officials, some of them are not doing the safety rules. We are a people, and we have to do better. Government can't force people to do so. Yeah, I agree on that. 100% concur with your wariness and being sick and tired of being told to wash my hands too. And look, my hands are ashy, okay? My hands are ashy, Cecil. It ashy. My hands can't tell you the last time it moisturized and I in my house. Okay, I come from out as an essential service person and I change my clothes. I change all my clothes. You know what? It still don't make sense. Why does it tell you take off your shoes? What? I mean, you know, on a regular tip. You know, they tell you spray your shoes to the top, spray your shoes to the bottom. What level of dumbness is that? This is how crazy this hysteria go in. I don't even understand. I can walk and spit it.
I think behemoths like spit a lot. Yeah, behemoths like spit.
You're right. It's like
If you go to the food store, you're at risk.
Someone says the show is rippling. I don't know what that is. All right. Yeah, you're right. If you go, people like behemoths like spit for true. I can't stand that. Says first y'all was criticizing minutes. Now y'all sites are on the doctors. How sad. Furthermore, that remark made about Dr. McMillan was in poor taste, uncalled for. I hear y'all inciting civil unrest. I hope when the unrest starts, y'all will be with the police on the front lines, keeping the peace. Oh, God, help me. Against the downturned economy.
I discourage civil unrest at all. I'm not one of those violent Negroes at all. I don't like fire. I don't like any kind of violence.
Man, listen, we can't afford for civil unrest, really, the burning down of buildings. We can't afford it. Like, literally, we cannot afford it. I mean, we can't afford it. So I can't call for that.
I have my sign to put on my front door, black owned house.
I don't think black matters. I just say not F&M, probably. Not F&M, not PLP. Probably say.
Okay.
Or maybe put.
I need to have a plan.
I'm one of you, right? Oh no. Get an NIB. You got to put something up there because you know.
Yes.
Yeah, we got to put something. NIB would be
I was laid off. I ain't working.
I ain't worked since March. Put something there that'll convey it, you know. And really, some say exciting unrest. Really, Yeah, really, it's just Nahaja, I'm not even sure we have the internet capacity for everyone to work from home and live stream virtually learning for kids at home. That's a lot of bandwidth. I don't think we're ready for that. By the way, on that point, my kids' school, NCA, has now announced that for the first 6 weeks of school, it will all be virtual.
So that's 4 schools so far.
Who else? Who else do you have?
Okay, your NCA.
Yep.
Kingsway announced today.
Uh-huh.
QC announced last week. And there was St. Andrews.
So all the private schools?
All virtual for this term, starting September.
Well, my own NCA is 6 weeks. So they're not doing the whole term. But NCA has always been a little different. Their calendar don't line up.
Lockdown for the whole 3 months. It could be as long as the lockdown is.
That's what I'm thinking. I wonder, are the schools giving discounts for the virtual learning? Because they're using Google, so it's not like that's their software.
For the school, St. Anne's, where my child goes to, they give the 20% discount based on last term's school fee. Because we paid the full school fee last term. So now it forwarded to this term. So yeah, they got me. They got me.
Yeah, no, that's how we get it. All right, we're gonna take.
I see a note came out saying I must pledge to be a good a teacher's assistant for this term and help. Yeah, I gotta help.
Well, you have to. That's just it. Now we have to. Yeah. I think we did this. If you did it last semester, the end of last semester, when we all were home and COVID had us all unemployed, and then the children were home, that was a stressful period in my life. I mean,
it was.
I'm not looking forward to it at all. At all.
And the teachers worked with me. When I realized that a number of the classwork was not done, and they emailed me, "Where are these? From how we do this now." I'm not sure if they're willing to do all of that. Don't worry about it. Just send the information in. We'll play catch up. I can't see that happening again. When I said, "Man, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know how to turn on the computer." They say print. Especially when there's no computer place to open up. I don't write on ink. Ink within 2 weeks.
The so true. Do we have sufficient bandwidth? I can tell you, even in my community, with depending on the time of night, when we all trying to use the internet, things slow down tremendously, boy.
Yep.
Oh man, so you can imagine now. And if I'm doing this at 4, well, the kids won't be at school, but husband is an IT professional, so he's always on, right? And and his workspace now takes over the entire table for PCs and machinery. Now I got to figure out this new space for the kids to be. It's a lot. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more with C.A. Nuri here on the Hit Back post the press conference. I'm in nothing new. But apparently saying that nothing new is a problem is inciting unrest.
Yes.
I just can't deal. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. We'll be back right after this.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Protect the things that really matter to you. Shield Insurance is the insurance company that grows with you to meet your insurance needs through this beautiful adventure we call life. From automobile to home to life and health, boat, liability, construction, and business insurance, Shield has affordable policies, flexible options, friendly service, and the expertise to protect your hard-earned assets. Shield Insurance agents and brokers in Nassau, call 356-7202 or Freeport 352-5945.
Girl, Junior just showed me Bella Boy in his phone.
What you mean? He take picture of that good for nothing boy?
Shh, you don't want Bella here. You say that. You know she always say that's my good child.
So what he doing in Junior phone?
Oh, he there because the police looking for him. He on their wanted list.
Wanted persons in your phone now?
Yes, child. And when police want to find anybody quick, after something happen, they can send picture direct to your phone. Go to Google Play or App Store and search for Crack Crime Bahamas, then pick install and it will go straight to your phone.
There is also a section on missing persons.
Yes, girl. Everybody needs to get this app so police can tell us right away when these people go missing. Just like an alert system.
Yes, it has numbers for Crime Stoppers Bahamas so you can call and nobody knows it's you. Call directly to Miami and give the information without giving your name or anything about you. I tried the other day and when I hear Junior and his boys talking about where they hide those guns, I walk quick round the corner and call that number.
Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands.
It's the beginning of the hurricane season, and Fidelity Bank is giving you one less thing to worry about. We're not able to control a storm or its path, but we can prepare for it as much as possible. With every debt consolidation loan, Fidelity is giving away fully loaded hurricane kits valued at $200 with all the hurricane essentials you'll need to weather the unexpected storms of life. It's that easy. Sign up for a debt consolidation loan, open an ASU savings or fixed deposit, and walk away with a free hurricane kit. At Fidelity, we're committed to helping you through these difficult times. Fidelity, we're good for you.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. I hope that everybody's, enjoying your day. We had, of course, if you've been paying attention, if you missed any part of the press conference, the Ministry of Health's press conference, I would tell you, you didn't miss much. There were some pertinent bits of information, just in terms of data collection. Walked away knowing that we needed to collect more and better data. That our results are behind. That it takes 72 hours at this point to get your test, get the test results, but we have a backlog of up to 7 days worth. That the hospital is 100 will have the capacity to test 1,000 samples a day, which is great news. However, one of the things that Dr. McMillan said was one of the challenges we may face is if we can get the oh goodness, and the word now eludes me what she said, but in essence, certain parts of these tests that are needed to make the tests work. They kind of make sure that they can get them. And she said, the United States, everybody's in. So can we do them or not do them? As we have the ability to test 1,000. Will we actually be able to test 1,000? And that's the question you still walked away with. We will have the hospital will have the ability, but will they actually have the ability if we don't have these necessary bits of pieces that make the test happen? And we walked away knowing that we needed more data. If 15%, we were told 20% positivity rate from the testing that they've done, 20% at this point coming back positive, right? That's a big number. 20% isn't a little number, it's a big number. But then she added that these are results that happened, right? So again, that connects with the timeline, that space behind where we are behind in this race. We created a COVID task force, like a real one with patrol cars and 23 new vehicles that apparently we should not be upset about, these 23 new vehicles, because one day they're going to go back to the police officers who still aren't sufficiently on the ground anyway, who could possibly need to be on the beat, on the ground, walking up and down instead of new cars every 2 years. Again, I digress, because, hey, who am I to get mad? Because, I could cause unrest because they get 23 new cars. New, spankalicious. I thought we was broke, Cecil. I thought we didn't have no money. We spending $20 million a month from NIB, but we need them 23 new cars.
The COVID cars.
That's the COVID cars I'm talking about, the COVID cars.
The police car got new ones. Now there's the COVID cars.
Yeah. This is powerful, my boy. Powerful.
And how does one get a COVID job? because I could do with a temporary job.
You
for
know
a
how many
minute.
people could use a COVID job? You know
Yeah.
how many people could avoid them COVID jobs long time before we end up in a place where all of the positives that are out in the community and we trying to catch up.
Because I have a tape measure. I could measure 6 foot. No, you're too close. You need to move. Practice it.
Man, yeah.
I could do that job.
Who rolling up in them COVID cars to people's house who quarantining? Just to let you know, neighbors, your neighbor should be in quarantine.
I cool with that too. I cool with
Your
that
neighbor should be in quarantine.
Yeah, you need to stay home.
I just want you to know. I
And
see
I can
you.
police them. Neighbor, stay home.
Public service announcement. When the COVID-19 car pulls up, they ain't buying food. They come to check on your neighbor who's supposed to be in quarantine. Neighbor? Can I somebody say neighbor? Get your hip inside.
Touch your neighbor.
Don't touch your neighbor. She got COVID. No. All right. Nahaja, I'm not even sure. Okay, says Mrs. Black, this is a mess. I haven't worked from before the COVID-19. I like how we say the COVID-19. I think we say that. But I know of a person with the virus who's walking around with a mask, refusing to self-quarantine and with his family right there with him. This is one of the reasons why we're in this mess and why we're labeled as misbehaving. True. Now, see, that's the next thing too. For these irresponsible people who are supposed to be quarantining, didn't we have fines for people who are supposed to be in quarantine and are like out?
Yes.
We did,
yes.
right?
Jail sentence and all.
I'm with that. I'm so with that. I'm so with that. I support that 2000%. If your neighbor ain't in quarantine, we should be able to call the popo on him. Now, I don't want the popo to physically arrest him because I don't want my police officers to get any more COVID. But people need to go to jail for breaking their quarantine.
I'll say one step forward. If I could prove that my neighbor who's supposed to be in quarantine is out, and I call the COVID police them, and the COVID police comes to the resident and they're not there, and they are arrested, I should get $60 for that.
Easily. For a head. That's right.
For a head.
It's just like Crime Stoppers. I'm with you. It's like Crime Stoppers.
Yes.
Give me a little something, something.
Yes.
Put it on my NIB card. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
I done it working.
You
know?
No NIB connections. No. We want the $60, you know, because this is, I agree with people now. Some stinking people know they're supposed to be in quarantine and they out here just a coughing in their masks, hugging people. I don't want you to elbow bump me or fist bump me. You go home. Go home. Shake off that flu. Go home. Says if the private schools are using free software, what are they charging parents for? And the government giving them about 50. I'm with, see, that's what I'm saying. I'm with this person. If you're using Google Classroom, you're not paying for new software. You're using free software. Why are you still charging me all this money? Right? Like, I feel like the rate should definitely be reduced since I'm not using your electricity, since you don't have to pay. Well, I gather you're still paying the teachers, and I want my teachers to be paid like what they're normally paid. I really do. But I mean, I'm still, I'm helping. Could the rate go down just a smidgen? I'm just saying, it just feels a little much.
No 20%. At minimum 30% now.
Look, I feel like we should be talking about a 35% reduction. Because how much does it cost to run the school? How much does it cost? If you don't have to mow the lawn every week, I mean, you may want to. Oh, in a case of my school, we don't have lawn. I mean, I really have a problem with that, but it's a whole issue. Right, but we should have some price cuts there. All right, Mrs. Black, help me understand why drive-through takeouts are closed, especially if you're staying in your car and someone bringing your food to the window wearing a mask. I don't understand the science behind it. Okay, I get your point. You ain't touching nobody, but then the staff touching each other. So I think that, if you're going to shut it down, you shut it down, right? I don't like the fact that the lockdown seemed to have no purpose, coming to no conclusive movement. But I understand, look, the staff also has to be protected. If we're talking about shutting everything down, then shut it down. The front line, the services that are vitally important to our existence is the things that would stay open during this time if they're talking about flattening the curve. So I understand, for the 2 weeks, we can live with feeding ourselves if you can. The convenience of having, food delivered to you or whatnot, we could get delivery service. I don't know. But if people working on their own kitchen and it's their own family cooking the food, I ain't got no problem with that. But I think having staff having to go into these fast food places might be a challenge.
But one must also consider, Nahaja, that because of the lockdown, because of the curfew, we're now creating a black market existence because the businesses and commerce continues.
Yes.
Now, yeah, instead of having a modern brick food place, now we see that despite the lockdown, despite the food and bakeries are being closed, that you can buy these things over the net. You know, you go for things for sale and you can get anything you want. You can get pizza, you can get donut, you know. So all of these things that you say that you cannot, you try to close down.
Because people still gotta live. People still have to live, man. And you know, rental assistance is a huge thing that I'm you know, something that I have to work with others to see if we can help people just get their rents paid for a month, you know, to try and help people. People are, one of the things that we're not discussing is how much homelessness are we measuring the state of homelessness? Well, people, how many people are finding themselves struggling? I'm a landlord. I cannot deal personally. My tenant helps to pay my mortgage.
Yes.
If my tenant cannot pay my mortgage, I have to find a new tenant who can. This isn't a level of heartlessness. Is the bank going to stop my mortgage payment? No. So landlords are faced with challenges themselves. So if you find that a landlord has to then say, listen, I understand the dilemma. We've tried to work with you as much as we can, but I literally cannot afford to keep you in here because my place is at risk for me being homeless. These are the challenges that are being faced every day. And then you have some tenants who were never paying before. Well, for God's sake, help you. You know, I mean, welcome to this world. I mean, I have a text here. Says, Nahaja, you're right. It's reagent. That's what Dr. McMillan said. You know, we have 1,000 tests per day, but they've hinted that we may not have the reagents necessary to carry out these tests. So where does that leave us? So you have the capacity, but not the capability. And so then is that misinformation? Is that not misinformation, but disingenuous in the way that was first stated? That, hey, we have the capacity to, and you know, it's excitement, but then you hear that we don't have the reagents. So then is it possible? Oh, Cecil, it's always good to have you, my friend. You remember when we used to do shows about like things lighter, but we could joke all day?
Yeah.
Oh.
And laugh.
Man, look
Can't
here.
laugh no more.
Well, I mean, hey, we are now 184th in recovery wise. You know, this is powerful. We got a number. We got a number. Yeah.
And it's clear that the country has to borrow some more money, especially come mid-September.
Man, listen, after that 20 million run out of a month, that 200 million come to an end. All right, you're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. Listen, everyone, enjoy your weekend. Look at the positives, because I've tried. That's all I got. What is the positive, Cecil? Smile, eh?
It could be worse. It could be worse.
You're right. I mean, you're right, I guess. You're right.
Imagine being locked down and no light.
That's BPL on a Wednesday. All right, you're listening. You're so petty. Your Trapsy just ain't right. Everybody have a great weekend. You're listening to the Hit Bag with Nahaja Black. Enjoy the time with your family if you can. If you're struggling at home, we will definitely pray you through this process. Divorces are up apparently. Everyone, take care. We'll see you on Monday.